Sports, money, and friendly wagers. It all goes hand in hand, right? When athletes get tangled up in gambling, the fallout can be career-ending, even life-ruining.
No one hustled like Pete Rose.
But why'd he do it? Why did any of these athletes risk gambling away their careers? It's one of baseball's most enduring controversies. Pete Rose, good old Charlie Hustle, is not in the Hall of Fame. Why? It's not due to his stats. On paper, the energetic and aggressive Rose looked untouchable. Over 24 seasons, he piled up 17 All-Star appearances, 3 World Series rings, 3 batting titles, both MVP and Rookie of the Year honors, and a staggering 4,256 hits, which is still the all-time record. He was fiery, fearless, and not above causing some chaos on the field.
And a fight breaks out. Pete Rose and Buddy Harrelson, both clubs spill out of the dugout.
By 1984, Rose was back in Cincinnati as player-manager, a hometown hero leading the team where he'd spent most of his career. Then, in 1989, a Sports Illustrated tip reached MLB's commissioner, saying a bookmaker had claimed Rose was betting on games. At first, Rose admitted to wagering on other sports, but denied betting on baseball. Investigators uncovered evidence of huge debts to mafia-connected figures, and alleged that he'd bet on Reds games while he was managing the club.
A special expanded one-hour edition of SportsCenter. And that's because this is a red-letter day in baseball.
Confronted, Rose agreed to a voluntary, supposedly temporary ban, but he was not reinstated in his lifetime. In May 2025, MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred announced a rule change that removed players from the banned list once they passed.
It seems like once I said I didn't, I just had to kind of stand pat on that.
In interviews, Rose sometimes called it the biggest mistake of his life, but he still wasn't afraid to crack a joke or two.
Let's take a look at the playoffs. They're beginning this week. Who do you like?
You sound like you're betting on baseball.
Yeah.
For fans, it's still a debate. Should the game's hardest-working hitter be forgiven? Rose passed away in 2024, leaving behind a jaw-dropping record book and a cautionary tale about gambling that overshadows one of the greatest careers in sports.
Nice to be here, and Doc, thanks for not playing Jailhouse Rock.
Art Schlichter had a biography called Straight Arrow published when he was just 21. That's how impressive of an athlete he already was.
He would score 50 points in a 7th grade basketball game like it was nothing. Like, coaches had to take him out of games because it wasn't fair.
From 1978 to 1981, he quarterbacked Ohio State, throwing for 6,584 yards and 44 touchdowns. As a sophomore, his team went 11-1, with its only loss in the Rose Bowl. He finished in the top 6 for the Heisman Trophy, and in 1982 was drafted by the Baltimore Colts with the 4th overall pick. But even in college, controversy was building. Under pressure about his future, Schlichter started betting on horse racing in college basketball games.
I promise you, cross my heart and hope to die that this check will never be cashed.
By graduation, he'd twice been bailed out of gambling debts. When a 1982 players' strike delayed the season, he kept betting and soon owed $400,000, a clear NFL rules violation. He was suspended for the entire 1983 season and, after limited play, cut by the Colts in 1985.
So did I gamble part of it? Probably. Did I use some of it for tickets? Probably. Did I use some of it to pay somebody back? Probably.
In later years, Schlichter served prison time for a fraudulent ticket scheme and was arrested for drug possession.
I apologize for having this carry on this long.
In the late 1960s, Detroit's Denny McClain was one of the most feared pitchers in baseball. He wasn't just good, he was dominant.
And Denny McClain has won his 24th game of the year.
In 1968 alone, he went 31-6 with 280 strikeouts, earning both the American League MVP and Cy Young awards, then followed with another Cy Young award the next season. By his mid-20s, he was a household name, an all-star, and the kind of ace who could carry a team through an entire season.
To McClain, covering, and he's got it. 28 wins for Denny McClain.
But behind the fastballs and headlines, trouble was brewing. In 1970, a major investigative report alleged McClain had been mixed up in a gambling operation for several years. He'd agreed to cover large winning bets for others, a side hustle that spun out of control. When he refused to pay off one huge loss, underworld figures reportedly retaliated, injuring his foot and compromising his pitching during a pennant race. The fallout was swift and brutal. McClain was suspended for 90 days just as he filed for bankruptcy. Within a couple of seasons, a 2-time Cy Young winner went from MVP to out of the majors. cautionary tale of how quickly even the biggest stars can lose everything. At just 16 going on 17, Venezuela-born Tucupita Marcano signed with the San Diego Padres and began the long climb through the minors.
1 Capita, 2 Capita, 3 Capita, 4.
The versatile utility infielder wasn't always a power hitter, but he built a reputation as a hard worker and eventually cracked the Padres' big league roster in 2021. He later spent parts of 2 seasons with the Pittsburgh Pirates, showing flashes of promise at the plate and in the field.
Oh, the big swing! His first career grand slam gives the Pirates a 6-1 lead.
But in June 2024, that promising career came to a screeching halt. Major League Baseball issued a lifetime ban against Marcano after uncovering an extensive pattern of gambling. Investigators found that in 2022 and 2023, he placed nearly 400 wagers worth about $150,000, including more than 200 bets on MLB games and tens of thousands of dollars specifically on baseball. The kicker? His success rate was just over 4%. The league also announced year-long suspensions for several other unnamed players for betting on games they were involved in. Marcano's punishment was harsher because he allegedly bet against his own team while he was sidelined with an injury. A young player who had barely begun his career managed to gamble his way into baseball's history books, but for all the wrong reasons.
And it's very unlikely that he has any pathway of getting this overturned, as Pete Rose has learned over the years. This is something baseball takes very seriously.
After 2 years as a backup, Hunter Dekkers became Iowa State's starting quarterback in 2022.
It's kind of everything I've dreamed of. I mean, I wanted to play at the highest level, and I mean, playing at a program like this is everything I could dream of.
That season, he had just over 3,000 yards passing and threw for 19 touchdowns. He was also one of over a dozen athletes at Iowa State and rival University of Iowa caught up in an illegal sports betting operation. According to KCCI Des Moines, between 2021 and 2023, while still under 21, Dekkers placed 366 bets using an online account in his mother's name. 26 involved Iowa State games. One bet was on a game in which he didn't play. He paid a $645 fine after pleading guilty to an underage gambling charge, lost his NCAA eligibility, and transferred to Iowa Western Community College to keep his football career alive. Here's where it gets interesting. Despite all that, Dekkers wasn't done. In 2025, after a strong season at Iowa Western, boasting 3,806 passing yards, 32 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions, he entered the NFL draft. He went undrafted but was picked up by the Saints as a free agent. So did gambling completely ruin his career? Probably not entirely, but it certainly changed the game.
For me personally, at least, it was kind of just a wow moment.
One of the most sought-after high school recruits in the country, Jontay Porter played just 1 year of college ball for the University of Missouri before declaring for the pros. He then fizzled out in the NBA, averaging 2 points in 11 games with the Memphis Grizzlies in the 2020 season, and resurfacing with the Toronto Raptors for a 26-game, 4.4 points per game stint in the 2023 season.
I got to make a name for myself. I got to stick out in some capacities.
It turns out he did find a way to stick out in some capacity. In April 2024, the NBA announced it had wrapped up its investigation into Porter's gambling activities. On March 20th, before a Raptors game, he allegedly gave a known sports betting figure information about his health that could affect his performance. With that insider knowledge, another gambler Porter knew placed an $80,000 parlay bet with a potential $1.1 million payout. During the game, Porter claimed illness and benched himself after 3 minutes.
For now, I'm really comfortable just going in there, doing what I can to impact the game.
The bet was voided due to suspicious activity, but Porter had also used an online gambling account in another person's name to bet on 13 NBA games. He was banned from the league and later charged with a felony. Talking about a meteoric rise followed by a brutal crash. After dominating the American League, the Chicago White Sox were widely expected to beat the Cincinnati Reds in the 1919 World Series. Instead, the Reds won, the result of a scandal that changed baseball forever. 8 White Sox players conspired to lose on purpose. The White Sox had heard a rumor that Cubs players were paid to throw the 1918 series. Hoping for the same, they struck a deal with a gambler but turned to an organized crime financier when the cash fell short.
I will pay you monies and you will throw the World Series. And he's like, that's it? That's so easy, I can lose.
Small payments went out as the Sox dropped games 1, 2, 4, and 5. Only one player had been paid in full, so the team briefly rallied to win games 6 and 7. The major financier sent more money, and so Chicago threw game 8. An investigation exposed the fix. Although the 8 players were acquitted in court, the new MLB commissioner banned them for life, all for roughly $5,000 each. barely what they would have earned by winning. In the 1952 to 1953 season, small forward Jack Molinas led Columbia University to an Ivy League title. Across 3 years at the school, while also studying to be a lawyer, he averaged 17.7 points and 16.3 rebounds per game. Drafted 4th overall by the Fort Wayne Pistons in 1953, Molinas scored nearly 12 points a game and then made the All-Star team as a rookie. But only 32 games in, he was suspended for betting on his own team, and his NBA career ended before it really began. He didn't disappear, though. Molinas went on to run a massive game-fixing ring, contacting players at dozens of colleges between 1957 and 1961. By the early 60s, a sweeping investigation led to arrests and his own prison sentence. Paroled after 5 years, Molinas tried to start over, but tragically, in 1975, he was fatally shot at his Hollywood Hills home at just 43 years old.